So we wanted to think about the challenges that the people you know, both sick and LD, might be facing, and help to provide solutions. So we wanted to develop interventions that would be useful even during this pandemic and even after it. So we've created a very detailed or somehow detailed challenge guide here, and it's showing on your screen right now. So we want you to use everything you've learned throughout this class or throughout this course to to develop um, interventions, and this is going to be a group work. We have team 1, 2, 3. We have like about 5 teams, and we've divided each of you to a team of 4, except team 2 that has 5 people. So that is not necessarily, in my opinion, I kind of think having so much people in your group is sometimes even a disadvantage, but it all depends on how you manage your team. Now, we are looking out for not just the intervention, also for this assignment, we are looking at how you guys work together in small groups, how you work in teams, and how you can synergize your skills, your core competencies, your diverse backgrounds into creating something amazing. So we are kind of excited to see what you guys will create, and to see how you would leverage this time that we have right now, and make something scalable out of it. Hopefully we would be able to generate ideas that will last, or ideas that would stand out, ideas that we can push out as interventions across the country. So I would say good luck. If you have any question about this will be the time to ask. Any question? You can either ask or type, but I think asking might be easier. No question, I won't believe, right? This is very clear. Is this very clear? Okay. No response. Can you guys even hear me at all?
Yes, it's clear.
Oh, great. Great. Great.
Can I say something, sir?
All right, please go ahead.
I think concerning the issue you raised with coronavirus issue, we should actually commend someone who has actually been doing something here. He's a team member, a fellow here, Tolani Odukoya. He's a member of the EPIDALA. That's, I think, Lagos State's response team on the coronavirus issue. So what he's doing is to actually talk to people. When you call him the EPIDALA Center, Tolani is one of those people who gives you detail and takes your detail. I think Tolani should tell us about what he does on the team so that probably you understand better what he's doing. But I want to commend him, and I want us to take that opportunity to do so too on this team. Thank you. Hello?
Ourselves. And please go ahead. Please go ahead.
What I'm saying is I would like to actually have Tolani Odukoya talk about what is.
Yeah, I got that. Okay. Yeah. So so I was saying that it's actually very cool for us to commend ourselves and to really appreciate the good work we're doing. So Tola, do you want to share what you've been up to, what the work is all about? Maybe we can draw inspiration from your experience.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Apologies, I just joined the meeting now, so I do not understand what you mean by the work I've been up to. Do you mean what I'm currently doing or what we've been doing in my organization?
Okay, so Paul just made the fact that you've been helping the Lagos State government in one of their interventions towards helping people in this period. I mean, for the COVID-19 ish, I think he was talking about you run um, a service center that provides people with information, or you're a part of a service center that provides people with information. So he wanted you to provide us with more details as regards what that entails.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
So for a couple of since about exactly 2 weeks ago, so I started working with Lagos State government under the EPID Alert Foundation. So it's like there's an organization called EPID Alert that partnered with Lagos State to provide information to the general public about the novel pandemic, how they can prevent the disease, take precautionary measures, and all that. So this is what I've been doing for about 2 weeks now. So what we do is that we receive calls. So there is a particular toll-free line people call, that is 0800 Corona. So once you dial the number, it is now myself and some other people I work with receive the call. So we provide information about the coronavirus, and perhaps if we is trying to report a case or trying to make a complaint about the red flag symptoms. So we are the one that receive the call and report it directly to NCDC. So we send the information to NCDC, and NCDC go to their address, having collected their details, their home address, their phone number, and every necessary details. So NCDC go to their home. If they've developed the red flag symptoms, they go to their respective home, get their blood sample, and go to the lab to test them. And if they are confirmed positive, they go back to their home, then take them to the isolation center for necessary treatment. So this is what I've been doing for a couple of weeks now.
Mm.
Although it's been very, we were told we're going to be paid and all that, but I understand it's a volunteering role, so I've been giving in so much to it, and that's why I've not gone home really. So I needed to get an apartment very close to the center here in Ikeja.
Wow.
So I could very easy.
Wow, that's like very cool and kind of really interesting to learn that there is actually such an intervention that allows people to get information and have an access to NCDC. As in, I've actually been thinking about a whole lot of how can we get people tested remotely, or how can we get people to pre-screen themselves to know if they even need to get tested or not, and all of those things. So this is laudable. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and I'm sure even posterity and even God would reward your labor of love. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Wow. Okay. Cool. So let's quickly delve into our our topic for today. So today I just want to go through something I've assumed that you've learned before now, before the boot camp, the initial boot camp, which is about grant writing. And you remember last week we talked about social entrepreneurship, and which is one way of raising funds for your idea. This is another way of raising funds for your idea. So today I will talk about grant writing, and tomorrow I will talk about other fundraising strategies, which may include cost engineering and a couple of other things. How can you maximize your resource, and how can you what other ways can you raise funds for your world-changing ideas? So I know that if you've attended the boot camp, you've had at least 2 opportunities to learn about grant writing. either through the bootcamp sessions or through the online course that we asked you to do before attending the bootcamp. But anyways, I'm going to go over it again. I'm going to go over it again. And for this class, I would suggest that you stop me if there is any need. If there is any need to ask questions. Basically, and another thing is that most of the things that I'll be talking about are things we've covered already, things that you know already. So this should not be a problem at all. Which means that I'll be very fast, maybe faster than usual. This material was I co-developed this material with the professor from Appalachian State University, and this had been used to train Mandela Washington Fellows from all over Africa every year. So in the history of IREX and the history of the fellowship, this is the most subscribed workshop. So every time it's holds once in a year in DC, and it usually has about at least 700 people are signing up to attend every year. So, and it's shown remarkable results, and so it's been fun using it and being able to use the same material with you. So basically, we'll talk about we'll examine how project proposal ideas are developed. Would talk about how you develop relationship with funders. We'll outline major components of what the project proposal should look like, and we'll talk about some processes that is involved in project implementation. Once again, this class is being recorded, so I would share the video with you guys after this class. I'll upload on YouTube and share the material with you. So, and I kind of feel Zoom is a lot better than all the platforms we've used before. It's clearer. I can hear you guys more clearly, and I don't know how clearly you can hear me, but I don't have to shout today unlike the way I do for previous classes. So this is exciting, and I'm kind of having a smooth ride here. So from that perspective, this is where we would start from today. And the way I like to start this is to say that the people who will read your grants and the people who you will submit your grants to, or people who will judge you for funding, they are not robots. They are not robots in the sense that they are human beings like you. They are not android. They are people with emotion. They are people with people that get stressed and tired. They are people just like you. It is just another dude just like you sitting behind a computer. Most times they are not even as educated or as knowledgeable as you are, and they may not even know anything about your field. These are just normal people like you. So they are like you, and so when you write or when you read what you've written, or if you give a friend or a family member to read what you've written, that person's reaction to what you've written is most likely the way your potential donor or grant maker would respond to it. So it seems that election coin, like, why is this person writing so much English? The same way the person will feel like it. And like I said, they might not even be particularly educated like you. So when you write, you don't want to write a lot of jargons. You want to be as simple and as clear as possible. You don't want to use so much technical terms that the person does not understand. Always remember that they have like 1,000 applications to read, and the easier, the better. The succinct, the short, the precise or concise and specific your writing is, the better. So another thing that is very important to understand about your funder is that they are not doing you a favor. So you don't get help by begging for it, or you don't get funded because you begged or because you told them a story that is very sympathetic. In fact, many a times funders know the problem more than you do, and what they're actually looking for is a solution that is unique, a solution that makes super sense to them. So you want to pay attention on developing your solution or communicating your solution and not the problem. Secondly, also is that you, like I said, you don't have to beg for it. You don't, it's not, they are not doing you a favor. In fact, you're the one doing them a favor. And I'll give you an illustration to explain that. Now, so right now I'm currently in the US, and if I want to do a project in Nigeria, it's either I come down to Nigeria to do that project, right, which is me spending a lot of money. And let's say I want to do a project in Ilorin, and I know Bukola and Latifa are in Ilorin, and I don't know Ilorin as much as they do. I will be shooting myself in the leg by carrying myself to say I'm going to learn. In fact, at the moment, I do not have the capacity to be able to implement a project in learn because I'm currently not on ground. Now, what to implement such a project, if I must implement it, is I would have to look for people who can help me out. Now, an organization exists because it has a mission, and the relevance of that organization depends on your mission, which means that for you to continue to thrive as an organization, or for you to continue to exist as an organization, you must continue to fulfill your mission. Without fulfillment of your mission, you have no relevance. You will not have funding as well. Now, by saying that, I'm trying to help you see that even the people that are funding you are funders. Even the funders are funders. So, like for instance, if you're looking for a U.S. embassy grant, that you might be seeing them as the embassy is Alpha and Omega, but no, they are not. They need to. The State Department needs to give the U.S. embassy permission to fund you before the State Department can give the embassy money. They have to go to Secretary of State. Secretary of State have to go to Trump. So there is a process to it. Now, each of these each of these levels must present your idea to the next level, to the next level, to the next. Each of them must present your idea to the next level. So, which this means that for them to continue to be able to remain as funders, they must be able to show that they are fulfilling mission. Even philanthropic organizations and foundations, they also have donors. They have someone that dropped money as an endowment. Even Bill and Melinda Gates, like we discussed the other day, they have funders as well. MacArthur had as an endowment, but they must be able to justify the use of that endowment by fulfilling their mission. Now, without being able to do that work, they are not able to fulfill mission. So, and if their mission talks about doing a work in Africa, but they are situated in the US, then there is a problem. They are not currently on ground, which means that for them to be able to fulfill their mission, they will depend on someone, and that person is you. So they are so far away, and they need to meet a particular need, solve a particular problem in a remote area. So they need someone to do them a favor of doing that work for them, and that is you. So when funders roll out application that, oh, we have these grants, it is not them helping you. It is them seeking for help. And by you having this mental tweak alone would help you would position you in a better place for submission of applications, or even for school, or even for a job, or even for grants and funding. You need to understand that you're helping them to meet a need. So at this point, you might be wondering, but what do I have that they really need? You have things that you've not paid attention to, which is the fact that you have that proximal advantage, which the fact that you know the community is an asset that they should be paying you for. The fact that it is your profession is an asset that they should be paying you for. The fact that you know e-learning alone, you should be paid for it. So when you write your applications or your grant applications, you're not begging for the funding. You are showing value or showing them why you are the best in that region and in that specialty to do the work that they need to get done. So it is what you're seeking, what you should be communicating is value and not begging or writing from a begging point of view. So when you begin to write, the way you sound matters a lot, and the tone of your writing should not connote begging. When you begin to beg, it seems like you're not qualified. Always understand that they have a need, a specific need they need to meet. Now, I don't like to be stereotypical, but the best example I can find there is to use women as an example. If a woman has a particular attire, and women always want to wear things that matches, right? So she's looking for a blue shoe that goes with a particular blue bag, and she goes to the market, and she will not, no matter how good the owner of the shop is or the seller is, she will not buy a pink bag, no matter how nice that pink bag is. She will not buy a pink shoe, no matter how nice that pink shoe is. She will not, if her size is, let's say, UK 6 or UK 7, she will not buy a UK 8, neither will she buy a UK 5 or a UK 4. She is going out for a particular size, a particular color. There is no sense in her buying an oversized shoe because the shoe is nice or because the shoe is cheap. So, and this is also the same as your grant makers. They are out for something very specific. They're out to meet a specific need, and your proposal must meet that target. So it must be UK size 6, color blue, 6 inches, if it's heels. So someone that's looking for someone that's comfortable wearing a 6 inches may not be comfortable wearing a 10 inches or 8 inches shoe. So if you've developed a project or you're trying to sell something that is 6 inches, then the person will not buy. So these are the first set of criteria that your application goes through to see if it meets their mission. And how do they know that they bring your proposal side by side with their need or the mission they want to fulfill, and then they bring your organization's mission. So they put these three things on side by side, and if the three does not align, then you do not get funded. So that's why I was talking about the fact that your project must align with your mission. So if you're doing water, if you're doing a water, if your course is focused on water, and you see an education grant, and you write a project for water for education, it will not fly by a lot of funders, except you find your way. I'll tell you about developing relationships anyway, except there is a very strong relationship you're able to leverage one in normally, that will not fly. Because what they will do is that they will look at the need they want to meet and look at the mission of your organization. Your organization is focused on water. Our mission is for education. Then your path does not align. So it is important. One in this slide, one thing I just really want you to go home with is they are not robots. They are people like you. They are emotional. They get tired. They can be funny. They can just look at your application and say, what's this one saying? They are they understand when you're lying as well. So they are just normal people like you. Like after 3-4 years of working with the US Embassy in Nigeria, most of the people that review your application at the US Embassy or at the consulate are not Oyinbo. They are normal Nigerians like you. So when you're, for instance, when you're writing a US Embassy application, don't think you're applying. You're writing for an Oyinbo. You're writing for a normal Nigerian like you. So, but the mental trick here is that don't ever think that they are doing you a favor. In fact, you're doing them more favor. So, for instance, when a grant organized, I don't want to mention them because we are recording, but when a grant organization gives you funding, you send them a report, which is your story of impact, right? They now use that story to go and raise more money than what they've given you. They use your picture, they use your story to tell all of their funders and stakeholders that, oh, this is what we are doing. So help us to create more people like Tolani, or help us to create more people like Emmanuel, more people like Daniel. Do you understand? So you are the one doing them a favor, and not as much as they are doing a favor. So it's more or less a mutually benefiting kind of thing. Any question on this slide? I think I spent longer than I expected on that slide. So the next phase is that there are 6 things you need to know and consider when you're writing a grant application. It is important that you choose a significant and unmet community needs. And I will not spend time on this because I know in our earlier classes I've talked a lot about this. And this is it's important that the problem you've chosen to solve, there is nobody in that same community that is solving it better than you. If someone is already solving it in that community, then you go and find another community, or you try to look for a need that someone is meeting, or you try to meet that need in another way. So the idea of looking for an unmet need is kind of dynamic. So it could be that the need is so much, like education need in Nigeria, for instance, is so much that one person cannot solve it. So you can pitch your tent elsewhere. It could also be that someone is using a certain intervention that is not effective enough or not holistic enough, and you're doing something that is complementary to what that person is already doing, which is also an unmet need, right? So unmet need can be a bit dynamic. And what I mean by significant in this situation is what I've explained earlier. It must be local in nature. It must have a global relevance and local significance. So it must meet international standards and also meet local tastes. The second part is building relationship with your funders. This is, for me, as far as I'm concerned, in my career as a grant writer, I kind of feel this is like the most important thing you need to do for grants, for making a grant. Like we're submitting an application to NED yesterday with a couple of organizations from Ghana, Argentina, and Colombia. And after we've done so much work, and as we were about to submit, I was like, do you know anybody in NED? And all of them were wondering why I was asking. But the truth of the matter is that I almost certainly believe that you won't get funded except you know someone there. Now, that is not true. You can get funded. Your proposal would always stand out, but you stand a better chance if you have someone inside. And I'll give 2 reasons why. by statistics, it's been said by a lot of authors and a lot of people that funding organization gives 70% of their funding to organizations they've funded before, or organizations that are referred to them, or through people they know, and 30% are based on merit. And that 30%, that 70% is just for them to be sure. You remember where I started from? They need to also generate story to get more money. So they need to invest their money in a place where they know that they will get results. So, and they can now play with 30%. So if those 30% do not bring results, they already have a 70% that they can bank on. Another reason is also this. If I don't know you from anywhere, and I send you a mail that you should come and give me money, there is a tendency that you would either think that email is spam, especially as a Nigerian. A Nigerian is sending you an email to ask you for money. You will most likely not respond to such an email. You will even delete it because you will think it's a spam, or the person is a fraud. And so, but if I know you, even if it's even just online and we've chatted a bit through email, there is a tendency that you may want to at least take a risk of giving me the money, because at least you know me, you've seen me online somewhere before, you kind of have an idea of the kind of person that I am. So and this is the way, this is how it is also. You cannot be trusted because you filled an online application and you're a stranger from nowhere that nobody knows. You would, you do not have a competitive advantage that way. And sometimes grant writing is a very silly process. It's cumbersome, and it has different things that can fail you without you knowing. Without you knowing, there are just some tiny things that and I'll also keep explaining. I'll give you like examples. There are some tiny things that might just fail you that you don't know. So instead of, and if you really want to write a good grant, you have to put a lot of emotion into it, a lot of work, a lot of research. So for me, I prefer not to do, when I want to write a grant, I put all my energy into it, and I prefer not to do that work and then be turned down eventually. So I try to look for someone that works there that can flag my application, or that can give me some internal gist. One of the reasons why I also stopped applying for grants that I don't know anybody, there was one thing that happened. I applied for this grant this is like some years back, and I had put in a lot of work. Now, I researched my funders very well, and part of the project that they love to fund were a lot of leadership projects. And the idea I had was more entrepreneurial in nature, and but because I realized that they kind of have affinity for funding leadership projects, I tweaked my idea around, and I decided to name, even from the title, I named it a leadership program, and I tweaked it around and made it a leadership program. Now, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I did not hear anything from them. So one day I went for a cocktail or a networking meeting. Then I met one of the person that works in the organization. Good for me, the person was the person in charge of that particular grant I had applied for. And as we're talking, I mentioned to her that when are you guys going to release the people that your shortlist for this grant? The person was like, "Oh man, we had a lot of issues. We've been struggling with selecting a lot of people, because we funded a lot of leadership projects in the past. So most of the application we got this year were about leadership. There were no diversity. So what we did was to trash every application that focused on leadership." And I was like, I felt like slapping the woman. Like, what are you talking about here? Like, they trashed everything that had leadership, which I did not have to have put leadership in that application. I was almost crying because I put in a lot of work, and imagine after waiting for like 5 months for them to respond, and she just broke my heart like that. So since then, I just really learned my lessons that you see it's better you find someone that works there. Now a lot of things changes within the organization that they don't update on their websites, and you need all those kind of internal gist. A lot of organizations changes their plan and focus without coming to say it publicly, and you wouldn't know. So that's why building strong relationship with founders is like one of my own biggest point, and I will tell you how it can be done. Develop a clear plan for program and project. We cannot emphasize this enough. You know what it means to develop a very clear plan. And when you write it, don't write jargons. Let it be very detailed. Let it be very clear as to step by step of how you would go about implementing the project. Or I will show you some examples of some grants I have written in the past, if my clients allows me to, or maybe some that I've done for Zozo, if I can get permissions to share with you. The fourth one is also research funders thoroughly. And this research, like what I had just explained, this research is not only to know what they fund or what they don't fund. Look at them, check them out. So for me, when I see a grant I want to apply for, I'll go on LinkedIn and type the name of the organization. I'll send requests to all the people that work there that I can find, and I'll email all of them one after the other. So if you find 20 people, there's a tendency that one person will respond. And in days of desperation, you can even guess what their email address would be like. Usually a lot of people use the initial of their first name and their last name at the company's email address, or maybe just their surname alone. You can guess and just send a code email to introduce yourself, to start a relationship. Or you just find their email on LinkedIn or any platform that you can. Or you ask people in your network who know someone that works there. That works a lot. So by the time you ask 100 people, at least one person should know someone that knows someone that works there. So these are the hard work that you have to do. It's not just the writing part. This for me is even more important than just writing the grant. It is getting that internal information and having someone on the inside. Target your proposal carefully. I've mentioned that earlier today when I was talking about founders' perspective. You want to be the solution they've been looking for. And this is not even in grants writing. Even when you write applications for professional development, or even for school and all of those things, you want to make your reader feel like you are the one they've been looking for. I can remember when I went for MWF interview, and they asked me a question that, so you've told us about the things that this fellowship is going to do for you. So what are you going to do for us? What are you going to contribute to this fellowship? And my answer was very simple. For me, I use analogies and jokes to project confidence in interview, just so that they know that I'm not under pressure, and I really don't care that much. So, well, what I said was, I asked the Caucasian that asked me the question. I asked him if he watches football. He said, I said soccer, because I know you guys call something else football, and everybody laughed. And it was like, yeah, I watch soccer. I was like, which club do you support? He said Chelsea. I was like, oh, bad news. That why would you support Chelsea? Anyways, I support Barcelona, and there is something interesting I need to tell him about Barcelona to answer that question. And I said, Argentina and Barcelona has a mutually benefiting relationship, in that they provide technical support to Argentina to get to get stars like Lionel Messi and all the young Argentina players to to eventually graduate into Barcelona's academy. That is the kind of relationship I'm looking for. I work with young people between the ages of 12 to 18, and the yearly program starts from 18 to 35 when you consider the RLC and the online network. So by providing technical support through the MWF fellowship, I'll be committed to supplying them with better leaders and better yearly network leaders before they turn 18. That was my answer. So you see what I've done? I've created a gap that they may not have seen before. A gap that they may not have seen before, and I've put myself as a bridge to fill that gap. So I hope you got that. So that's the mindset you want to have when you're writing these things, even for school application or all those things. Think about what the department has been doing and what they don't have, and what the school does not have, and what you actually can bring to the table. So always target and write target it in a very crafty way. Write a concise proposal. This is very important. You remember what we said earlier about KISS, KISS. Keep it simple and short. Any question on this slide? I want to assume if there is no question, then I'll go to the next slide. There are 8 essential components of a grant proposal. 1, it should contain a cover letter, an executive summary. It should discuss the problem and need, or state the need statement. It should talk about the methods or how you want to meet the needs, the activities you're going to do. It should include an evaluation plan. It should include a project or program sustainability plan, and you should also tell them about your institutional experience and capability. All of these I'll continue when we meet tomorrow, but I want to stop on grants writing at this phase. I would break each of these down to you when we meet tomorrow. So, but these are the 8 essential components that a grant application must contain. And I believe that some of you that did the online course before the boot camp would have watched Jesse Lutabingwa go through this course and explain what each of these contains. In fact, instead of even wasting your time of trying to cover it in class, maybe tomorrow I could do a summary though, but I would suggest that you go back and take that course online. And I'm so happy today. Today is my happiest day ever with you guys. We have 20 people in class. Oh my God, this should be celebrated. We should pop champagne for this. So thank you for this for bringing 20 people to class today. I think Zoom is a good thing, right? Yeah. That is nice. So let me quickly talk about the next phase. Go through the next topic. Then we'll talk about grant writing a lot more tomorrow. I think what I would make that to look like is more or less like a question and answer session, then so that we can gain more from it. So okay, so I hope you can see my
Can I
slide.
quickly ask a question?
Yes, please. I'm even tempted not to go into this next topic right now. I'm thinking we should just have a question and answer. Let's discuss more about grant writing. Let me know your fears. Let me know the things you would like to clarify. Then I can take you through. Then I can cover these other fundraising concepts tomorrow when we meet. So please go ahead and ask your question. Blessing.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm a little bit under the weather. I don't have
Oh, well,
coronavirus, but almost all the symptoms look like it. But
you don't
it's
you don't
fine.
you don't have it.
Um,
Don't worry.
no, I don't have it. um, so thank you for the class on grant writing. A little thing, I just want two things I wanted to say.
Okay.
Um, Most of the time, when you have to write a grant, it means that your organization must be registered for you to be able to write a grant, because most grants givers want you to show documents that your organization has been registered.
Yeah.
So that bit of it, I don't think I've seen a grant that, except maybe is one-on-one. I don't think I've seen a grant that will tell you that. Most grants is that you must have registered your organization at least to the barest minimum that I have seen. Then secondly, when you were talking about having an in-house person, I'll ask a question on it. I don't, the knowing somebody in an organization really is amazing, because you get to find out some things. Like you said, we're recording, so I can't mention an organization, any organization. But I think there was a time my organization was trying to apply for a grant in a very big grant giving company in Nigeria, and while we knew somebody on the team, and while my boss knew one of the persons who will be reviewing the grant on that team, but we didn't get the grant. And the reason why we didn't get the grants is because they said the board of trustee of that particular grant reviewing this thing actually knows somebody that is doing something similar to what we are doing. So it was difficult to actually get the grants. We were doing something under education, and they knew somebody else that was doing something under education, and it was almost difficult for us to actually get the grants. And after that incident actually happened, like you mentioned, that most grant givers want to, they'll still give grants back to the same person after the funding cycle is over, and that's because they've been able to build trust. So my question is that, how do you enter into the hearts of people, actually knowing that you have this inside information that there's somebody on the board of committee that actually has somebody else, and you can't change whatever you do. If the services you offer is education, you can't change the fact that, oh, you don't want to offer education, but you know that you also need grants. How do you go about it? How do you enter into the hearts of people? How do you win them over, knowing that somebody else is competing for the same thing? Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Blessing. That's like a very, very good question. And thank you for raising that. The first part is this outline is already on Canvas. I think you guys don't check Canvas. I'm trying to answer Sherry's question. This PowerPoint is already on Canvas, so I think you can get all the materials on Canvas. To answer Blessing's question, the first part about being registered or not registered, that's actually very true. For you to get substantial funding, your organization needs to be registered. You need to have, there is no organization except it's legally in existence. So you should be registered, no matter how little the registration is. Based on our previous discussion, you know what I mean by little. And however, it's worthy of note that an organization like the U.S. Consulate still gives individual grants. So as an individual, you can get a grant from them, and there is a process for that. But not so many organizations do that. For the second question, as regards how to get into the heart of people, let me show you a particular slide. And this would make me just talk about developing relationships with funders. Now, what you've explained is actually a very difficult situation. I was even thinking you were going to talk about conflict of interest, because the board member knows the person. There are situations where there are conflict of interest. But one thing I want you to know is that if they really want to give you money, they will give you money. And if you keep trying, they might find a compromise to give you money. So the fact that they said that they have someone they are already funding that does the same work, it's probably because they don't have enough money or they don't just want to give you money. If they really want to give you money, they would give you money. And that calls for persistency. You continuing to show them that you are a better alternative to the person they currently fund. So when you hear no, when people tell you no, that is not when you stop. You don't stop when you hear no. You stop when you've tried everything. You, in fact, don't ever stop. That's my concern. So for that kind of organization, you want to go ahead and implement that project and send them a very good report. For that kind of organization, you want to keep sending them information about your organization. You want to keep that relationship going. One day they will see you as a preferred choice. It may take a while, but they'll definitely see you as a preferred choice. So you want to keep that communication going. You want to keep showing them your report despite their funding, despite they did not fund you. You want to just keep doing that. I know I shared a story with you guys about making people owe you and banking in people's emotional bank account and all of those things. So it's important that you do this for these categories of people as well. You keep sending them reports of the great work you're doing without their funding. One day they will reconsider. So that's one way to get into their mind. Another way to get into their mind is to sit down with them and see how you can tweak your idea for it to still be funded. They'll always have a way out for you if you really engage them. So don't stop. Just keep sending them those information. I can remember when I started when I wrote one grant proposal that was really big, and I submitted it to a funder. The funder was like, "No, you can't do this. We cannot fund this and all." And they were like, "Oh, we there are even other people that do this better that we already fund." Like we're referring to Leap Africa and all. But what I did was to reduce the scale of the project. I got another funder to fund it, and I shared the success story with them. And I wrote another proposal to them that we to do the project in another place on a different scale, and they funded it. So it's all about manipulating your location, manipulating where those needs are, establishing what needs exist. You know that the need that organization is doing in a certain place exists in another place as well. So, but it's actually a very difficult situation to navigate. Well, my best advice would be don't stop. Just keep sending them. Their emails, they will reconsider you one day. And another so now generally, let me just talk about developing relationships with funders. You want to really go out of your comfort zone to make good impression. So you can start by cold mailing different funders, send them a very succinct brochure about your work, and send them a very good brochure about your work and a succinct email that introduces you to them. Some will respond, some will not respond. So that's like just shooting into the sky. You can always do that. Another thing that is very legal that a lot of people don't do, and which is very important, is sending email of inquiries to funders, which is a way to begin a relationship with the funder. Send them emails about their process. You can even ask them to send you their criteria and the kind of project they fund. You can ask them to send you templates for concept notes, send you templates for budgeting. These are things that they should send to you, and it is legal and okay for you to even ask them, or they tell you where you can find it. So you should always just be confident about writing those letter of inquiries to them. You can schedule a phone call. You can send them an email to schedule a phone call. You can schedule a courtesy visit to the different organizations. We will tell them, oh, our team is doing this kind of work, and our team is on a learning visit to different funding organization, and we've selected the organization as one of the prestigious organizations that we would like to learn from. Just find a way to creep into their space. Anyway, the moment they know you and you have a meeting with them and you're able to create a good impression, many a time they are the one that will tell you, oh, for this work that are doing, you should actually submit an application to us. They are always looking for good stories to sell. And bookmark your funders, bookmark them, even if they are 20, bookmark them, or maybe you have a note where you put all their links. Other things that you can do when you find someone that works in the organization, invite them for coffee or invite them for lunch. Meet, just find a way to bridge, to go beyond the formal relationship. Now, I'm not saying go personal, but try a way to know them beyond being someone that works at the funding organization. Get to know their person, let them to see the human angle of you, and they would be supportive. Any other question?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Bukola.
I've been waiting for long. Let me answer her first. Sorry, Tosin.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I just want to get a clarification, and I'll just try to gather my thoughts. Because you mentioned something about not getting the grant if your vision does not align with their requirement and all that. And you use the example of like water for education. So I just want to know, I don't know, first of all, if NGOs also have memorandum and articles of association. I'm not sure. But I feel like that part is where most companies put in everything that they do as a company. So let's say if I'm working on education and I want to make my memo to cover every aspect of life, maybe economy, agriculture, and all that as it relates to education. Does that put me in the best position to apply for a grant that has to do with education, but probably educating farmers or something? Or is there a way that it means that my vision should capture this? Meanwhile, vision has to be specific and precise. So I really want to understand that aspect. And you also mentioned now that an individual can apply for some grant. So I feel like that makes it easy for me to say, oh, I want to jump on this project. I can come up with a beautiful concept note. But for an organization that is limited because of their vision and all that, how can they do this? So I just want to ask if it's okay to like manipulate and come up with a proposal that will help you get the project if truly you want to carry it out just to do something. So
Yeah.
I just need a clarification and all that.
That's a very good question. So number one is that for individuals, it's easy, right? Nobody knows where you're coming from. And perhaps if they'll be judging you, they'll be looking at your career to judge if your background fits to the need you're trying to address. For an organization, when I say your mission, it also goes to it includes your theory of change. And what I actually kind of meant by that is that when they do their research, they want to be sure that the work that you've been doing before then and all the other work that you do aligns with the project that you're planning to do right now. You don't want the funder to feel that it is because of this project and of this funding opportunity that you now decided to pivot into a new dimension. So if your theory of change on your website or in your documents that you're sharing with the funder already says that, oh, we do everything to get people educated, then that makes it that kind of creates a place for you to do virtually anything, right? So it's important that you think that wide also when you're creating your theory of change or organizational mission. So for instance, like Zozo Networks, for instance, is a very wide output organization in the sense that we most likely do everything to promote youth leadership, which means that we can decide to say, oh, we are promoting youth leadership in agriculture or youth engagement in agriculture. So it all depends on how you frame your theory of change from the start. So our work, anything that goes with youth entrepreneurship, youth leadership, youth changing their communities or political spaces or policy, goes with us. So it all depends on how you set your organization from the beginning. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, I can. Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, sir. That's wonderful, sir. My question is just this. We are talking about funding. I'm looking at when it comes to you as a person and the organization, how do you blend the two together when it comes to seeking for funds that maybe deal with the organization and individual? Sometimes you want to pick what you have been doing in the organization, you want to pick it together as a way to pitch what you have been doing. I don't know whether you got what I'm saying.
No, I did not get it. Can you say that in a more clearer way? I didn't quite get it.
Okay, this is what I'm trying to say is, as a person now, you want to put in for funds and all of that, and so you want to pitch part of your work. Part of your work has been with the organization. Do you get that now, sir?
Well, the thing is that one thing that you must know, and I said this last week in the video I shared with you guys.
Yeah. Separating
yourself from your organization.
From the organization.
It's important. That way you don't look like confused, or you don't look like you're not focused. So if your organization is doing A, let your organization be doing A. If you yourself as a person you're doing B, then let your organization be doing B. If you have another idea that can change the world, perhaps starting another startup or start another organization. So
okay.
Yeah.
So it's like you should not put all the ideas into the organization.
Well, it all depends. If it aligns, yes. If it does not align, no.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello, John.
Yeah, it's John. Yeah. So thank you so much for the lesson. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So assuming, for example, I have a program coming up later this year for teenagers. We've been working with teenagers in my organization from different schools. So last year we had a quiz competition for them, and it was quite helpful. So we've developed quite a number of other project models and all that. So now this time we're looking at having a leadership boot camp, like a leadership boot camp for selected secondary school students. Now, assuming I'm planning to reach out to the U.S. Embassy, even when they're not calling for application, do you?
I think she removed it already. Please, I think she removed it already. Can you say that again? Hello, John. Hello, John.
I think it's not here again. Let me
Okay, let me take Blessing.
see.
I can see Blessings and I can see Shay's and either of
Fuad
you
is
can
Yeah,
here.
go.
I just
Okay,
want to ask
Blessing,
a
yeah.
question.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to
thank
speak, you
you.
can raise instead of you can just raise your hand. There is a button for raising hand. So I will know that you want to speak. So Blessing.
Okay, so talking about funding, question just dropped. So let's say you finally get a grant and to do a particular project. I'm talking based on something I've seen happen before anyway. You
Mm-hmm.
get a grant to do a project, and then the policies in Lagos State or in wherever you cannot allow you to do that particular project. How do you maneuver to solve that problem? Like, okay, so for example, say you have a grant and the grant is supposed to be on working on abortion, maybe safe abortion. That's just an example. And then you're supposed to carry out sensitizations in tertiary institution, because whether we like it or not, they are one of the people with high level of abortion on an everyday basis. And say your project is supposed to be sensitizing them on safe abortion, not like you're telling them to commit the abortion. I'm just giving clarity for people that don't know, but you're just trying to tell them that rather than doing the abortion, you can actually do family planning methods from beginning. And say in your grant, in the application, you already mentioned that, oh, you want to carry out the program in a particular university, and after you got the grant, you go to the school, and the school says, oh, you cannot do this kind of thing in our school, or and you don't have an alternative. Question is that, what do you do to the grant giver? What do you tell the grant giver? Number
Okay.
two is it possible to actually change plans? Like, is it possible to change plans? Just so that I know there's a deadline. Is it possible to change plans? Is it possible to ask for an extension?
Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
target was Lagos, is it possible to actually move out of Lagos to another location that you feel they will accept whatever it is? Since you already gave them the document that this is where I want to do the program. I
Yeah.
just want
So this has
to.
happened to me before, and had happened to at least two of my clients before. And I will give you three different scenarios in which this can play out. But before then, I would teach you this because it is the right thing to do. And it is that when you write your grant, write to the level of perfection. Write as though you're going to implement it indeed. Write as though it will happen. Which means that and that's why for me grant writing is like a bit emotional and a bit I put in a lot of work because I do my research to the point of accuracy. So I'm like very sure of what I'm writing. So before I write or submit an idea for funding, I would have found out if it's possible in that location or not. And this is part of all the things I've been trying to teach you using those toolkits, SWOT, and all the likes to be able to, when you come up with an idea, you're able to check every potential risks or any potential threats to that idea, so you know if it will happen or not. So you are writing like I will try to see if I can share some of my grants with you, and you'll see that I put specific dates in some instances. I would say the first phase of the project will start on 1st May 2019 or 1st May 2020 and end by September 23, 2000. So it's specific. I'm specific about the locations as well, and that way there won't be stories that touch, and that means I must have done my research. Now, the scenario I talked about, the scenario one that happened to me was there was a need to adjust some major parts of the implementation plan. This is acceptable. You just need to communicate clearly with your funder. I can remember there was a project I was running with the US Embassy, and we changed some things without telling them. They just wrote me an email asking that we should refund their money, and it was very funny. They sanctioned us and they said they won't give us funding again, but we were able to correct course and and make changes. We did not tell them that we would be posting, we will be sharing a particular segment of the work on a newspaper, but we just got an opportunity to showcase it on the newspaper, and we did. This was like 2 years ago or so, and they were like, so they got alerts that they were featured in the newspaper without them knowing, and the input wasn't the way they would have loved it to come out, and that was a problem. So you want to be very careful. So now when we work with the US Embassy, we send them sample of when we begin implementation, we send them sample of flyer, we send them sample of communication. So all the communication we actually sent it to them to proofread first, to ratify first before we brought it out. So it is very important that you work hand in hand with your program grant officer or the grant makers end. We'll carry them along, let them see the problem you're seeing. Now, it is important that they are not expecting it to be perfect. They are also trying to learn from your implementation process as much as possible. And this is the role of monitoring and evaluation. When you monitor and you realize that this thing will not work here, you can communicate with them and change things. It is absolutely possible to change things, and it happens most of the times for you to change things if you really want the project to be successful. The second scenario that happened to a friend was she got a USADF grant, and she was meant to do something mobile. That means buy a car and a bus and do the project mobile. You most likely know the person, so I will not mention names. But instead, she decided to build in a place, which makes more sense because she got the land cheap, and she decided to build. The project was actually the funding was a lot. Now, the fact that she said mobile and she decided to build, they asked her to refund, and she had to refund. As at then, the money was $25,000 or so. She had to refund them, which she did. She was blacklisted until she paid them back their entire money. The person has bought land, has started building rather. So it's important that you carry your funders along, and you help them to see what you're seeing. So always carry them along. But change is actually possible. Shay, you're next. Shay, I've unmuted your mic.
Okay, so good evening, everyone.
Can
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Good evening.
All right, so my question is, okay, for let's say we have a social enterprise that is for profit, not non-profit, for profit, right? What are the chances of you getting funding from, let's say, a bank, or let's say, like a particular, any funder, like basically a company, since let's say they're trying to help the community, right? And still making profit from it. That's what most social enterprises do. So what are the chances of you actually getting sponsorship or funding from a company that knows that you are also for profit and you are doing good, right? But you are also making profit from it? Is it possible? Are there likelihoods of you getting funding from sponsors with that in mind?
Yeah, it's possible. Like, absolutely possible. It's absolutely possible. Yeah, very, very possible. Always remember that it's all about the power of your impact. If you're making impacts that nobody else can make, then they will definitely do that. A very good example of that is Recycle Points. I don't know if you know Recycle Points in Lagos.
I do.
Yeah. So they are a social enterprise and not an NGO, and they've gotten funding from Access Bank and all the likes. And so
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Next would be Tolani. Let me take Tolani.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know what if you're applying for a $20 grant, let's say a $1,000 grant, what how many number of people would you say is advisable for us to say we want to train for a $50 grant and $1,000 grant? So why I had this, unfortunately, I couldn't get it because patient. Okay, so what I actually pitched was that we want to empower 100 vulnerable women. What you do is back to school project around that time. Around the time I was applying for the project. However, we did a business review in Nigeria, and we realized the problem we're actually trying to solve really is not just about the children going back to school, but them remaining in school. So we realized that children that are not in school are doing most of the ones we actually got in touch with are not going to school, not because they are not free schools, but because their parents could not sustain them. A lot of them, they said they are public schools, but they could not attend because their mother could not buy sandals for them. And because of lack of sandals, they've not been going to school for over 6 months. Some said because of school uniform, and because of that, they've not been going to school for over 5 months. So we now decided to empower the parents of these children because we realized that most of their parents are single mothers and have no job they are doing. So we now decided to empower them by training them on probably soap making, bag making, and the likes of them, and also help them locate their market so that they're able to make sales immediately after the. So we said we were going to train 100 women with $1,000. So along the line, we got a rejection. So I got discussing with K Factor, and he told me the number of people we said we are going to train are too much for that $1,000. So I don't know. So I want to ask if this could be a major criteria for that.
This is a vital question, and this is a vital question, and which also is something that plays out many a times, and it starts from you thinking about your funder's perspective. A funder had once told me that I cannot use $10,000. That $10,000 is too small to do a workshop for 100 people. She said $10,000 is way too small to do a conference or a summit or a kind of workshop for 100 people. And I was like, dude, have you forgotten I'm from Ibadan? 100, thank you. But the truth is, when I continued working with that funder, I understood why she must have said so. From a perspective, it's actually impossible. There is someone that bought a scarf for $50 right in front of me. Scarf that I would have more or less sold 3,500 naira, and she paid like 17.5, and she did not even price it. So what when your project comes based on their own experience as cheap, it means that you cannot deliver quality. So if I would say $1,000 is too small for 100 people, that's cost per person is $10. What do you want to do? What are you even feeding them alone and renting a venue or giving workshop materials? $10 has finished. Do you understand? So there is no way you actually deliver a very good project and all these things that you listed that you wanted to do with $10 per person. It's impossible. And that's how they see it. It's a major deal breaker. What that communicates is that your project is going to be wishy-washy. I want to imagine that you're trying to apply for a pollination grant, and pollination grants are usually for pilot projects, for trying out your idea. So you want to do for like 20, 30 people or 40 max. So it's not So it's not 100. 100 is just a whole lot. So a lot of people, one of the major things that we grant makers do is to figure out your cost per person or cost per outcome. And if it's not commensurate, then there is a problem. I lost a grant that was very sure just because of something like this. But on the other side of it, I applied for a 50,000 grant for 20 to empower 25 people. And the quality of the program was very high and all, but when you do the math for that, it's actually not reasonable to spend 50,000 on each person in Nigeria. It's like saying to train one person is $2,000. That's 700 and something per person. So it does not really make sense. So you want to maintain balance. And that balance should be dictated by the exposure and the kind of funder you are. For USADF or USAID, they have some of these specifics on their website. USAID has their rates for hotels, per diem. They have their rate for speakers. They have their rates for different things. So you may write your proposal using their rates. It's important, but in the case that you don't have their rates, always use the best available price, not the most expensive. Now, someone that you know can do the work and can do it best, always quote that price. That's my method. If we have some time to discuss grant writing, I'll tell you some tricks and ways to go about budgeting and all that would not make you shoot yourself in the leg. My mentor used to say, never leave money on the table. So if the grant is saying they want 20,000, they ask 20,000 cap, apply for 19,900, but write it in such a way that it does not appear like you're looking for you're writing to just take the money. So I will write a grant that the budget would be like 22,500 or 25,500. Then I would cost share 5,000, or I'll cost share the one on it. So the budget is 19,900. Do you understand? So that way, I'm not taking their entire 20,000. I'm leaving 100 on the table anyways. But it's almost like I'm not leaving any money on the table. But I would have shown them cost sharing. So it's not like I just wrote that grant to pack their money, but their money is not even enough. But I'm cost sharing. I don't know if that makes any sense. John.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So my question is this: I have a project coming up for teenagers later this year. It's supposed to be a boot camp that will train them on soft skills, 21st century soft skills, and leadership. So my question is, in a situation where the likes of the grants or funders now, for example, the USAID, are not calling for applications or for submission of proposals, do you take proposals to them?
Yeah, so they are also,
do you take your proposals to them?
I perfectly understand that. So why ID Bootcamp, for instance, was an unsolicited grant. I just walked into their office and say, oh, I have a project for you to fund. You will like it. It's really juicy. Fund it. And they decided to fund it. I did not even at the end of the day write a grant proposal. They just told me to submit a budget, which I did, and they funded it. Now, that comes at the level of relationship.
Wow.
That comes at a certain level of relationship, which is what you build in after doing a lot of projects with them, or after a while, or after some time. It can also come by you being a stranger if the idea is really cool. So you can send your concept notes to funding organizations, even if they are not soliciting or even if they are not doing open call. Some may ask you to apply when they have open call, and some might just consider your idea if it's very cool. So like, for instance, this COVID period is a very good time to submit unsolicited applications. So like, based on the assignment I've given you, if you come up with very good ideas, we can push it to some funding organizations and say, oh, this is an idea that is timely. We cannot wait for you to announce, fund this project and all. So, like I said, they are always looking for stories. They are always looking for good projects to fund. So you can always submit an unsolicited grant. It's a common practice. I don't know if I've answered your question. Emmanuel.
Yeah, right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you so much for today, Dr. Shegun.
Our own
Yeah.
work plan
Okay,
for
so
this good
it's not. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I was hearing multiple voices, so I was confused.
Oh.
So I applied for a grant 2 years ago. It was the funder was Zayed Sustainability. So we had our invention patented already, but we've not used it for we've not used it commercially, but we're just trying to test it out. No, but the painful thing was that after applying, we didn't even get a rejection message. That did we get an acceptance message. So,
yeah.
so I really don't know. Is it that is there a role that having an experience in what you do, like a couple of experience, maybe over the years, does it have a role to play in having a fund that accepts your grant application? And if it does have a role, how do we that are starting up, how do we then maneuver and get, our application through? I hope you get that. Hello, Dr. Shegun. Hello?
Hello, Emmanuel, can you hear me? Hello, Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, good. I said this is a very I said this is a very good question, and thank you for raising it. It's a very common experience, and I said there are two parts to your question. The first part is I will address why you may not have gotten a response. When your proposal gets caught early in the process, they often don't send a response. But what you should do is to send them an email asking for a response. If you've not done that, you should do that. By you getting rejected, and I want to say this generally, not in terms of us answering your question, but on a general note, by you getting rejected is a way of starting a relationship with a funder. The fact that you get rejected gives you an opportunity for interaction. So you've not heard, the fact that you've also not heard from them gives you an opportunity for interaction. Now you can send an email asking them for why you've not gotten a response. Or even if you get a rejection letter, you can send an email to them in a very subtle and nice way, asking them for why you've been rejected. So you could send something like, "Oh, we've committed a lot of resources to doing this project, and would love to know how to improve on our proposal for other funders and also for possible future submission to your organization. Your input and your feedback would go a great deal in helping us reshaping the future of our work and all of those things. Make it really interesting and then ask them to give you a feedback. So it's an opportunity to kick off a conversation and a relationship with them. And so don't see getting rejected or not getting feedback as a total loss. No, it's if you take the advantage of it very well, it's a good opportunity to begin a relationship. The second part of your question is experience. Yes, which is this. I don't know if you can still see my screen, which is what this last part. Oops. Which is what this last part of this slide is talking about, which is institutions' experience and capability. This is under where if you want to talk about, you want to brag oh, the founder of this organization went to Harvard, or a member of this board of trustee is a Stanford graduate. Our team member had experiences working in Silicon Valley. Our team members had this inventor and that inventor and that inventor and that inventor. We've won 1 million in grants funding. We've worked with the top grant makers across the world: Rockefeller, the Ford, the Soros, the MacArthur, the USAID, USADF. That's a part of your proposal where you want to brag. Now, it is important that is also used in evaluating your proposal. It is used in evaluating your proposal, and it is as much valuable as your solution itself, because they want to, you see, all of these things all about trust. They want to be able to know that they are not throwing away money, and they want to know that they are not throwing away money, and they want to know that you can actually do everything you claim to do. So your CV would go a long way in projecting that confidence. Now, these are the tricks. The trick is this: if you are just starting and you don't have a whole lot of experience, then I would advise that you create a project team. I can't imagine how many people had used. Someone still requested for my CV yesterday to add me to their project team. So you will get people who are way advanced in that field and constitute a project team. So it is their CV that you're going to use to push your idea. And that this is where building relationship with people, having operational network, knowing people in the industry is very important, and building trust amidst different people is also very important. So you want to create a project team of people that have good CVs that will boost your project. So this goes beyond what you have and what you don't have. Again, so that's on a project team level. That's one approach. Another approach is to be proactive in the sense that you can, if you know that you're going to be applying for some funding that you do not have the capacity for, or your organization does not have the capacity for, you may want to start like a year earlier or 2 years earlier by volunteering your organization, by offering your organization to other organizations in that space that does some work. So you can tell them you're going to bring your team to help them in implementation for free. That way you can claim that you've worked with them. Now, when you write those kind of things, you will not write that we volunteered for so. No, we supported or were part of the implementation of project XYZ that was funded by USAID or CDC in 2018. Or we partnered with organization ABC in implementation of project XYZ that was funded by USAID, that was funded by CDC, that was funded by, do you understand? So you want to build a relationship with those kind of organizations as well, even if all you do for them is data collection or ushering for the program or facilitating an aspect of the program or not. That way your name is there, and you will try to make that as formal as possible so that your name reflects in those people's reports also, that you supported that project. This is what happens in Abuja, for instance, and I'm working in the civic system in Abuja is very interesting. When you're doing a big project, some organizations will come to you and say, oh, we'll provide you with t-shirts. We'll donate t-shirts to this project. We'll donate our staff to this project. And that way you're forced to name them as partners, right? Or as supporters. And whenever they write about that project, they write it as we supported so organization in the implementation of the US Embassy funded project. That's so something like so it's similar to something like that we did for like IDYL, for instance. So when IDYL writes it, they will say, oh, we partner with Zozo, or we supported Zozo in the implementation of the Youth in Development Fellowship. ACL can also say the same thing. And in quote, they've actually really not done much. So that way, when they're applying for a similar grant in the future, it shows the brand of the funder. So that's another trick That's proactive. I know, and the third way that you can use to go about that is to partner with an already existing organization that has the name in that space. Or you bring, or if it's a programming kind of thing, you can bring people with big names as facilitators. So like I can remember when we first started doing this line of programming, we would invite people who had bigger NGOs, who worked in bigger NGOs, to come and facilitate all the trainings for us. So you want to use all those names, you want to leverage it to project confidence. So I don't know if I've answered your question. Emmanuel, have I answered your question? Okay. Daniel, do you still have a question? Okay. If there are no any other question, then this might be a good opportunity to finish for today. Go ahead. Hello, we can hear you. Xperia XA1, we can hear you. Hello. We can hear you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
All right, good evening, sir.
Good evening. We
My
can hear
question
you.
has to do with motivation. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Hello.
We can hear
Hello?
you. We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, my question has to do with motivation of funders. Okay, my question has to do with motivation of funders.
We can hear you. Maybe you should type it if you have a network issue. We can actually hear you. Larry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
No, thank you for the class.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been applying for a lot of grants in the last 1 year. Although I've focused more on the small figures, organizations that fund startups, the $500, the $1,000. So
Yeah.
I've just been trying to pick all those small money all around, just help with my projects. But then one can stay on that lane, and in that regard, I've been consulting with some of my colleagues down here that are also into social enterprising and all that. And one of the suggestions that have been coming to me is that there are actually people, professionals, or let me say maybe organizations that specialize in writing grants for people, and you just sign a kind of deal on how you're going to share the money, whether 70/30 and all that. And I have I have a lot of reservation about it because like, okay, probably they have the skill set to get the money down for you, but then they are doing it for the money purpose, not just because they are interested in your project. And then, what about my integrity as a person and as an organization? Won't it be at stake? And at the same time, I try to view it as me partnering with them because they actually, being that they have experience in this field, they they appear like social organizations themselves when they are applying on my behalf, so to say. So on the other hand, I always try to view it as probably partnering with another organization that is stronger than mine and trying to get these things done. So I'm kind of in a state of dilemma on if it is ideal to actually get yourself involved in such deals. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
My sincere answer, capital letter N-O, no. See, writing a grant proposal is more or less like developing a project idea. And nobody can write your vision, your idea, or your story better than you. I've worked as a grant writer, and had helped several organizations to write grants. And I stopped doing that. I just started consulting for organizations instead, because I figured out that it does not make sense to help people to write grants. Half of the time, I reconstruct their entire project for them, and because I know the scope that will work for the funder, but that is not actually what is in the heart of that person. So what I do now is to provide people with toolkits and consulting, guide them through to be able to write by themselves. There is nothing as, when I see people write that thing, I'm a grant writer online, it just pisses me off, because they're just it's dicey. Now, you will pay someone to write a grant for you, and there are 50-50 chance that you will get the grant or not. So I used to feel bad when my clients don't get grants, and I just started hating that fact. So I would rather just help you, show you how it's done, teach you how it's done, so that you can always do it yourself. Even my mentor that applies for that has won over $200 million in grants, still tells you that, he tells me all the time that his success rate is 60%. So now imagine, how many times will you have to pay people or share profits with? I'll even talk about sharing the amount of sharing money with people, which is absolutely wrong. How many times will you pay people to write grants for you when the chances of winning is 60%? So try as much as possible to develop the skill set yourself. And grant writing is not hard. It's just that we always think it is hard. It is all about being able to speak in specific terms and being able to write as clearly as possible. It is not hard at all. It's just about developing the industry language, and knowing exactly what the funder wants, and obeying all the rules and regulations that grant organization has provided for you. It is that easy. It is not hard at all. So my number one is, you don't have to pay anybody for grants. You can develop the skill and write it yourself. It is easy. You can take our online course and really sit down with it. You will actually really know how to write this thing. It is not hard at all. The second part is that it's bad for your reputation if you are sharing 70-30 with someone that helped you to write grants. There is no way you will not affect the money that you're meant to use to run the project itself. And this is rampant. This is everywhere. There are organizations that do that. They help you get the funding, then they collect 30% or 50% of the money. It is unfair. You will not be able to implement the project to the taste of that you would have loved to implement the project. And also, even if you are cost engineering and you're able to save some money, it is unfair on your organization. The money that you're able to save, that 30% that you're able to, should go into your organization's development. One grant that you have is enough to set your organization on a path towards sustainability. But the moment you've given someone else, then there is a problem. You will remain at the same position. You just be implementing projects. So it's not worth it at the end of the day. So if you really are sincere and you're really doing the work, the gain that you make from grants is like 10% or to 15%. And that's why I just don't like grants anymore. That's why I write them for people. Because if you really want to be sincere and do the work well, it's always like 50, max 20% that would go into your organization or your pocket at the end of the day. So you don't want to dash that out to people. So just painstakingly develop the skill and write it for yourself. So you don't have to depend on anybody. And sometimes you get this information late as regards which funding is available. So you want to have the skill so that you can always meet deadline and not having to depend on people. So that's what I would say. My answer would be no. And those are based on experience. It doesn't work. It does not work well eventually. So I'm happy to answer all the other questions, perhaps tomorrow or online. But this would be a very good point for us to stop. I think we've spent like 2 hours already. I want to say there are quite a number of you guys that are yet to turn in their last assignments. And I know some people have not even submitted like 3 or 4 assignments. Please, this is the last time I'll be begging. Kindly submit your assignments. And you are delaying us from being able to actually monitor your assessment and being able to provide feedbacks. So we want to know if what you're building is actually correct or not. And if you don't turn in assignments, we won't be able to do that. So this might be a good point for us to stop. When we come together tomorrow, I will start by explaining what cost sharing is, and I'll show you different kind of budgeting, so you can see how it works. Okay, I'll take David's question, then we will go for today. So David, you can speak now.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much for the class this evening, though I joined late at a point. Concerning this grant writing now that you were saying, there are some organizations also concerning the funding that if you seem, let's say, too sincere to them, they will feel like you're not up to standard. Like you mentioned that maybe USAID and other funders, they have their standard rates, let's say for accommodation and for transportation and the rest. Let's assume now I go to a community to do a project and USAID, they have a fixed amount of lodging there, like that they give or that was presented in the budget, 25,000. But you and I know that the most expensive hotel in such area is like 5,000 naira also. In this case now, in order not to present yourself too low before the funders, I'm thinking like, is it okay like you still present receipts to them? Because at the end of every project, you're going to still present the receipts. Is it okay like you present your receipt of like your lodging accommodation is 25,000, or you still put the 5,000 there and tell them like, okay, instead of the 25,000, it's 5,000?
Now, to be realistically, although I'm trying not to be so tough or hard on you, but realistically, and don't see this as a common practice, but realistically, many times funders don't ask you for receipts. Only very few funders does. They may ask you for an audited report from your last year, from that year, if they continue to fund you. But they usually don't ask for receipts from that project. By you giving them an audited report means that somebody has actually checked your receipts and know that you used the money for what you said you used it for. Now, when it comes to per diem does not necessarily have to be the per diem covers the meals and hotel, right? Does not necessarily mean that you spend that specific amount on hotel. So if it's a standard, if the funder allows you to a standard per diem, then it means that wherever that per diem is allocated to has the money, even if the person had spent just 5,000 on hotel. So if they give you a per diem of maybe $200 or $125, for instance, and you've only spent just $20 throughout, the rest is yours. The rest is actually yours. That's the way it works. However, there are some funders that are very annoying and they are very finicky, in the sense that when you tell them that a project is happening in a particular place, they also do their own cost estimation as well. So for those kind of funders, you want to be careful. But standard organizations like USAID and all, they just give you your per diem like that. So it doesn't matter if you spend it that way or not. in as much as that person is on site to do the work, then per diem counts. So but most organizations don't ask you for receipts as such. In as much as the work is done, it is when the project fails that they may now want to scrutinize you like that. But it is important that you get all your receipts together and you try as much as possible to be accurate as much as you can. If you are doing a project in the village, for instance, in fact, most times when you do projects in remote areas and rural areas, the cost of outcome is always more expensive than doing it in an urban area, because you are risking your life, you're risking a lot of things to go there. So the fact that you move from your normal comfort zone to that place alone should be paid for, and that's part of what is covered in per diem. So it does not necessarily have to be hotel and feeding and all. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, sir, you have answered your question, sir.
Yeah. So it's a case by case kind of thing. It just depends on who you're working with and the type of funder. So if it's a funder that's very finicky, then you too, you may want to be finicky. Then you may now want to put a price on everything that you spend, like your transportation to that village. You may give your staff discomfort allowance or anything like that, or traveling allowance, security. You just building all those things into your budgeting.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. All right. So at this point, this is where we call it a day. It's always interesting interacting with you guys. We'll go over the rest tomorrow, and please go through the challenge that we've uploaded on Canva. And if you have any question as regards the COVID-19 challenge, please let me know. It's a teamwork, so you may begin to interact with your team from today. And like I said, there won't be class next week, to give you guys time to further do some group work over the weekend. And we'll decide on the deadline for the COVID-19 challenge by tomorrow. So I look forward to interacting with you tomorrow. Do have a lovely evening. Bye.